We are all set with our coding environment, where we installed Anaconda for Jupyter Notebook. Now it's time to put them to actual use. Let us start our Python journey with learning about variables in Python. Let us first understand what is a variable. In a simple analogy, variables are containers that are used for storing values, which means whenever we store values in a programming language, we do it using a variable. Now, I know that this much is not enough to understand variables. So, let us take some examples and try to comprehend it better. Let us take three variables, A, B, and C, and assign some values into these variables. Let us store 85 in the variable named as A. Let us store 75 in the variable named B. And finally, 25 in the variable named C. Now, let us use the print function to display the values of these variables. If we print A, we will get the value of 85. Perfect. Let us try to print the values for B and C. So we got the values 75 and 25 respectively for B and C, which we assigned to them initially. This means that we can assign any values in these variables and use them later on for any operation. But there is something we need to take care of even before we start assigning values to variables, and that is the naming of these variables. This means we will have to be very, very careful while naming these variables, otherwise we will run into errors. There are just 4 simple rules for naming conventions of variables. Let us start with the first rule. A variable name can contain letters A to Z in small or caps, digits 0 to 9, and underscore. For example, here we have created 2 variables, data and underscore data. We are assigning them with some values. Both these variable names are accepted by Python because both of these variable names are following the rules. Now let us move on to the second rule. The second rule says that the variable name cannot start with a number. So let us try creating a variable starting with a number. Here we have created a variable for data. Let's try to execute the cell. Press Ctrl plus Enter to execute the current cell. You can see that we are getting an error. Python shows invalid syntax error because we cannot name a variable that starts with a number. This means the second rule seems to disapprove of any variable which starts with a number. Now comes the third rule. A variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscores, which means we cannot add characters other than alphanumeric and underscore. Let's try creating a variable containing special characters. 4% equal to 5. Now, let us try to execute this cell. Ctrl plus Enter. You can again see some errors. This means that we have to remove special characters to make this variable name valid. Now coming to the last rule for naming conventions. The fourth rule says that the variable names are case sensitive. But wait, before anything, what does case sensitive even mean? Let's try to understand the meaning. This means that Python differentiates between uppercase and lowercase letters. Let's take an example. Add a new cell by pressing Enter. We are going to declare 2 variables having same name, but in different cases like this. You can see it on your screen. Here, as we can see, two variables with the same name, but both of these variables are considered to be individual. When you print these variables, you get the same value associated with them, which means that they are really different. And this happens due to the fourth rule of Python. So technically, this is not a rule, but a convention. Because Python will not give you error if you use uppercase or lowercase in naming your variables. But it will confuse itself and you because it will treat them as two variables. So be very cautious when you are trying to use uppercase letters in your variable names. Well, this is all about variables. Next, you will get to learn about data types and typecasting in Python.